welcome everyone to our first ever online annual general meeting, and I hope all of you are keeping safe and are doing very well. So before we begin, I would like to ask Ahmed to introduce our special guests.
Thank you so much, Getachew, and good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well today. And once again, thank you so much for attending our first ever virtual AGM at SAISIA. So we do have some special guests. So I'd like to welcome Tanya Escalante, who is our IRCC officer. Thank you, Tanya. And we have another special guest, Max Lingard, who is our auditor from Twiggs and Lingard Corporation. And I just wanted to double check if there was anyone on the call from the province, from the provincial government. Okay, so thank you to all of you for coming and joining us, and I think we can proceed forward.
Okay, now I now call for the approval of the agenda. The agenda was sent by Ahmed as the AGM.
I move it be approved as adopted or as presented.
I second that.
Good morning, everyone.
Who seconded that? Pam Miller. Thanks. If there are any motions, it would help if you could just say your name. I recognized your voice, Daniel.
Okay, I now call for the approval of the AGM minutes from last year. The AGM minutes were also provided with the package. So if we could review that.
It's Sandy Urban. I'll move adoption of the minutes.
Okay, Sandy, is there a seconder?
I'll second it, Stephanie here.
Stephanie, thank you. Anyone object? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, now the president report is next. Okay. Just give me 1 second.
Sorry, I just noticed there is something wrong in the minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
The election of 2019-20, the 6 elected are, and I'm supposed to be in there.
Okay.
And I believe that, is it Lori? No, who wasn't supposed to? Oh, Delise, I don't think was.
Okay.
The motion is correct. It says Ali, Ajoma, Jess, Lori, Pam, Patricia. But the 6 elected that are listed, I think I'm supposed to be in there and Delise is not.
Okay. We can correct. We can make a correction of.
Yes, so if as a friendly amendment, if everybody's in favor, just that my motion be as amended then.
Okay.
It's Sandy speaking. And then my fat fingers put the hand up symbol there, so just ignore it, okay?
Okay. Ahmed, my email is not working. Would you be able to send me the AGM package?
Yeah, I can definitely forward that over to you right.
Okay. Okay. Can we continue with the ED report until I get the package? So for the sake of time, if everybody agrees.
Yeah, I'm good to proceed.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Getachew. And once again, hello everyone. I would like to first take this opportunity to acknowledge that we operate on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional gathering land of 31 Indigenous peoples and the homeland of the Métis. We reaffirm our relationship with the Indigenous peoples of this territory, as this is an important part of our history and an important part of our future. I would also like to take this time to thank our primary funder, Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. We very much appreciate your financial and strategic backing and continued willingness to support the Saskatchewan settlement sector. This past year for SAISIA has been a time of change, adaptation, and realignment. Our small but tight-knit team is made up of Faye Santos Vargas as our amazing administrative assistant, Mariam Karimi as our stellar Swiss coordinator, Bobby Ray as our fantastic rural coordinator, and Deborah Chevalier as our awesome urban coordinator. At our foundation, we have successfully negotiated a funding agreement with Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, which will allow us to continue to support Saskatchewan's settlement sector for the next 5 years, ensuring that all settlement organizations in Saskatchewan feel supported and valued will continue to be an important focus for myself and the rest of the SAISIA team. Advocacy and proper representation for Saskatchewan on a national level is also a crucial priority to ensure the Saskatchewan settlement perspective will play an important role in shaping national policies and that our province's unique voice is heard loud and clear. SAISIA participated with multiple national committees and groups during this last fiscal year, such as the Canadian Immigrant Settlement Sector Alliance, the Canadian Council for Refugees, and the National Settlement and Integration Council, with the last in-person National Settlement and Integration Council meeting being held here in Saskatoon during December 2019. That event brought together over 150 plus stakeholders from all across Canada to our province. I joined the organization as the executive director in December 2019 and have been both humbled and inspired by the important work of SAISIA. Some of our early priorities included reaching out to the settlement sector to better understand the ongoing needs, concerns, and barriers that they face, which in turn help shape our internal focus on how we can best support agencies in the successful delivery of services to our province's newcomers. That is the baseline to all of our work and must always be put at the forefront of our priorities. During the last fiscal year, myself and the SAISIA team celebrated many successes, including the facilitation of a strong and fruitful small center conference, which was the first of its nature and considered highly rewarding and effective by participants. We're firmly committed to recognizing and supporting the unique and specific landscape for Saskatchewan small centers, with material development and distribution, one-to-one site visits, and rural sector specific meetings. We continue to work with the Francophone sector, with the creation of the Saskatchewan Francophone Strategy and the implementation of the strategic vision to add French-speaking capacity to our SAISIA team. We concluded our Inbuilt 93 pilot project in partnership with the Aboriginal Friendship Centers of Saskatchewan and SaskCulture. This partnership was formed in response to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call number 93. The project attempted to bridge gaps between newcomer and Indigenous communities by hosting multiple intercultural events, the development of a specialized handbook for Indigenous treaties tailored for settlement organizations, and providing recommendations for the National Discover Canada Handbook from an Indigenous perspective. Our Swiss coordinator had many successful collaborations with external bodies, such as the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Social Services, where Swiss workers had the opportunity to connect directly with representatives from the two ministries to ensure their frontline perspective is being taken into account. Our Swiss coordinator attended the P2P conference and brought national recognition to our province with the presentation of the award-winning poster titled The Successful Integration of Newcomer Students in School. There were collaborations with the Canadian Mental Health Association for the creation of the You and Your Bad Mood booklet that was translated into 7 high needs languages, and a partnership established with Queen's University for the development of the Saskatchewan Health Toolkit, as well as the Train the Trainer sessions. Like many, we had to adapt overnight to the COVID-19 reality that we all found ourselves navigating through. While there was a lot of uncertainty and concern, at SAISIA, we understood that we had to step up to the plate to support our province's settlement sector in any way that we were able to. Ongoing consultations via sector calls and one-to-one virtual site visits, COVID-19 specific webinars, and the development of a centralized COVID-19 resource section on our website are a few examples of this. This pandemic really has been unprecedented in most of our lifetimes. And as we continue to work together, I'm confident that we will be able to come out on top as a sector, a province, a country, and a community. I would like to extend a huge thank you to the SAISIA team for their passion, dedication, and adaptability during this last year. I would also like to thank our funders for supporting us financially and putting us in a position to achieve our goals. I would like to thank our partners for supporting our important work, and I would like to sincerely thank the SAISIA Board of Directors for their guidance, wisdom, and for ensuring our strategic priorities are in order. Most importantly, I would like to thank you, our members, for all the important work you do on the front lines in administering settlement services to our province's newcomers, and for providing us at SAISIA your valuable input that helps shape our focus for this year and onwards. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you all again soon. Before I pass it back over to Getachew, does anyone have any questions either for myself or anyone on the SAISIA team? And if you do have any questions or comments, you can either post them in the chat box or you can just ask them straightforward.
Thank you, Ahmed. I now call for a motion to accept the Executive Director's report.
I'll make that motion, Henri.
Henri, thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it, Delise.
Delise, thank you. Anyone opposed? Thank you, motion carried. I now like to present the President's report. First of all, I really like to apologize. We have an email problem here at work, so I lost all my documents all at the same time. I now have my reports. So I'm very excited to report SAISIA had a very successful year. And following the departure of its former Executive Director, Sylvia Waterer, SAISIA welcomed Ahmed Majid as its new Executive Director. Before I really want to thank all board members who have acted as an intern to support the organization while we are trying to hire Ahmed. After successfully, of course, negotiating a 5-year contribution agreement with Immigration and Refugees Citizenship Canada, SAISIA underwent a significant reorganization on the leadership of Ahmed and with the support of the board. The reorganization will now allow us to provide relevant support to its member agencies. In December 2019, with the support of SAISIA staff and local member agency, a successful National Settlement Council meeting was held in Saskatoon. This is very significant. The event brought together over 100 stakeholders from across Canada. I want to thank SAISIA staff and member organizations for their contribution to the event. What I heard was, even though December was a cold month to come to Saskatchewan, the warm hearts in Saskatoon and Saskatchewan made up for that. So that was the comments that I received. And so I really want to thank member organizations in Saskatoon and those who traveled wide and far to be at that event and to be with us. And I really appreciate that. During COVID-19, which is a very difficult time, SAISIA continues to support member agencies by representing their interests at the national table, providing professional development opportunities, sharing relevant information. The organization also continues to make substantial contributions and advance the interest of Saskatchewan settlement sector through participation in the following committees: National and Regional Networks, National Settlement Council, National Resettlement Assistance Program Working Group, Newcomer Language Advisory Body, and Canadian Council for Refugees, Immigrant Refugee West. We were also asked to participate in the task force RAP COVID task force, and we were part of the group that developed the the RAP COVID protocol. Without the support of a lot of individuals and organizations, I don't think SAISIA would have done the work it needs to do. So I want to thank the following individuals and organizations for their continued support to SAISIA: Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship, the Province of Saskatchewan, SAISIA Board of Directors. Really great Board of Directors with a lot of support. I really appreciate your support during some very difficult time. SAISIA member agencies and SAISIA Executive Director Ahmed Majid, who have been tested lots of times by COVID, by provincial budget cuts, and keeps doing a great job, and the entire SAISIA staff. I really want to thank also for those who board members who have provided Ahmed with mentorship. I don't want to name names, but there are lots of people, especially in Saskatchewan, who have supported Ahmed during his 1 year with us. So I really would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as a board member and president. It was a very enjoyable and excited opportunity, and I would like to continue to work with all of you to continue to build SAISIA to become what it needs to be for its member agencies. And thank you. And I now ask for a motion to, if you have any questions, please do. And if there is any questions. I now ask for a motion to accept the president report as presented.
I move that, Ali.
Thank you, Ali. Do I have a seconder?
One second.
Okay, thank you, Napoleon.
Napoleon.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Now we would like to receive the treasurer report. So treasurer.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kirandeep Buller, and so we have, it has been a busy year at SAISIA, especially with the ending of one contract with IRCC and the beginning of the other CFP. So it has been a busy process. We have here Max Lingard from Twig and Company, and he will go over the financial statements with everyone. Max.
Hi, thank you for the introduction. I think everybody received a copy of the financial statements in the package that was sent out. So I'm going to run through them fairly quickly. By all means, if there are any questions, please let me know. Is it possible to, I have the financial statements up on my screen. Is it possible to share the screen for everybody?
Yeah, definitely. Just give me 1 second. I can pull it up on the screen.
It's not a huge deal if it's not readily at hand.
Sorry, just getting the host to pass back to me so I can share the screen.
Okay.
Technology is being a bit slow. Whenever we need it most, it's always the slowest for us.
It's been the story this year, that's for sure. Okay, well, I'm just going to get rolling here. So the first thing to note on page 1 of the financial statements is the auditor's report. In keeping with previous years, these financial statements, this is a clean audit opinion. The financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations, pardon me. One other thing to note, our firm name did change throughout the year, so we have been operating as Twig & Company. We're now Lingard & Dreger, but that's more of a cosmetic thing. The rest of the firm is still the same. We just changed our name. So starting on page 3, we have the statement of financial position. So this statement presents, here we go. There we go. So yep, page 2, now we're on page 3. So so this statement presents the assets, liabilities, and equity of your organization at a particular point in time, that point in time being March 31st, 2020. The first asset the organization has is cash in the bank with RBC. That has decreased from 84,000 down to 45,000. The accounts receivable are broken out in note 4, but they consist of GST and grant receivables. That was 8,300 last year, up to 16,000 this year. Prepaid expenses have increased from 5,600 to 6,300, and they consist of the last month's rent on the building, as well as some prepaid insurance. Total current assets have decreased from 98,000 to 67,000. The tangible capital assets are explained in note 5. They are essentially just computer equipment. The only change this year is amortization, so the write down of the value of those assets over time. They have decreased from 5,100 to 2,300. Total assets have decreased from 103,000 to just under $70,000. On the liability side, there are accounts payable and accrued liabilities. They consist mainly of trade payables and a visa payable. 15,000 last year, 16,000 this year. Deferred contributions and revenue is explained in note 6. It's decreased from 37,000 to 2,300. And the remaining balance, as you'll see in note 6, is grant funding received for capital additions. So that will continue to depreciate over time as well. Total current assets, 18,000 this year, 53,000 last year. On the net assets are the next item we have here, and that's another term for equity in the not-for-profit sector. It's increased slightly from 50,199 to 51,000. When we add that together, we end up with a total value of 69,000, which will agree to the total of the assets. Any questions on that? I'll tell you what. I'm gonna probably proceed through the statements. If there are any questions, maybe we can deal with them at the end, just for might be easier under the current format. So the next statement we have on page 4 is the statement of operations. And so this statement presents our revenue and expenses for the year. The first type of revenue is federal grants from the IRCC, 864,000 last year, 601,000 this year. Provincial grants are primarily from SAS Job Grant and the Indigenous Newcomer Grant, 62,000 last year, 50,000 this year. Membership revenues decreased slightly from 9,800 to 9,400, and miscellaneous revenue is up from 1,800 to 4,700. Total revenue is down from 938,000 to 666,000. On the expense side, fairly comparable for the most part. Advertising and promotion has decreased from 7,500 to 6,500. Amortization has decreased from 5,200 to 2,800. Annual, the AGM costs up slightly from 3,600 to 3,800. Bank charges are $290. The conferences and workshops have decreased significantly from 105,000 to 23,000. And there's a significant reduction in IRCC costs this year. Insurance is up from 1,600 to 2,200. Licenses and memberships have decreased from 4,300 to 1,500. Meetings and travel, 51,000 last year, 34,000 this year. The office expenses have decreased from 26,000 to 23. And professional fees consist of the accounting costs, the audit cost, and professional development. And that has increased from 48,000 to 54,000. Project expenses have decreased from 23 to just under 18,000. Rent up from 63 to 64,000. Repairs and maintenance, 700 last year, 542 this year. And the wages and benefits have decreased significantly from 595,000 to 429. The decrease is due to IRCC program delivery wages as well as consulting fees. Adding that all together, total expenses are 665,000. When you subtract that from the revenue, in the current year, there is an excess of revenue over expenses of 1364, which is very comparable to last year, actually extremely comparable to last year at 1342. Okay, moving along to page 5. The next statement is the statement of changes in net assets. This statement is fairly basic. We basically start with our opening equity numbers and we add certain values to it. In this context, it's really just the excess of revenue over expenses. And the ending balances there are the figures we saw in the first statement. Likewise, note page 6 is the statement of cash flows. I don't tend to spend a lot of time on this statement, but I would highlight that for the bolded line 4 from the bottom says decrease in cash flow of 39,000. And so essentially from the start of the year to the end of the year, your cash balance has gone down by 39,000. If you look up a little bit, you're going to see deferred contributions and revenue is the largest contributor to that. So funding was received last year. It wasn't, for grant funding, and it wasn't required to be spent, but it was spent in the current year. And that is the primary reason for the decrease in the cash balance this year. Moving along, we have notes to the financial statements. The first note talks about the association, when it was established and its purpose. Note 2, significant accounting policies, describes the accounting rules, for lack of a better word, that are used to generate these figures. There have been no changes in the current year from the previous years. Note 3 was added this year, economic dependence. And this highlights the fact that a large percentage of the revenue of the association is received from government sources. And within that, a large percentage of the funding is received from the federal government. Note 4 gives you the breakdown on accounts receivable. Note 5 does the same thing for tangible capital assets. Moving along to page 9, deferred contributions and revenue. Again, this gives you the details of that. As you can see at the end of the year, 2,300 is just some capital grant funding that will be expended in future years. Note 7, building lease, describes commitments for the lease on the building, obviously, and that lease has expired, but at the end of the year it hadn't. So we itemize the required payments under the terms of that lease. And lastly, note 8, financial instruments, describes various risks the organization faces. Credit risk is the risk of not getting paid on your accounts receivable. Interest rate risk is not a significant risk for this association. And lastly, liquidity risk is the risk of not being able to pay your bills as they come due. And those are the audited financial statements. Are there any questions?
So if there are no questions, can I ask for a motion to accept the auditor's report for the financial statements as of March 31, 2020 as presented?
I'll move that, Pam Miller.
And I'll second that, Jess Han.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you. Motion carried. The next item is appointment. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
We also have to pass a motion. I would ask for a motion that Lingard and Dreger, chartered accountants, be appointed to serve as SAISIA's auditor for the 2020-21 fiscal year. If somebody could pass that motion. Ijoma, thank you. And seconder?
I can second it, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Pass on to you, Getachew.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. I now pass it to Henry, our past president, for the election of 2020 and 2021 Board of Directors.
Thanks, Getachew. Good morning. My name is Henri Delagarde from Saskatoon Open Door Society. So I'll be running us through the election of Board of Directors today. Just a note before we begin the process that we have one additional nomination that was not included on your ballot. but I will speak to that organization after today's election and discuss the possibilities for that nomination to be reviewed by our board of directors at a subsequent time and discuss there. We're not, I'm afraid we don't have clarity. Ahmad and I have just been talking back and forth a little bit about how that fit into the nomination procedure. So that's something that we can address with the new board of directors during the board meeting immediately afterwards. And then our board can discuss how that fits into the nomination process. For today's election of board of directors, you will have received a ballot in your package along with the AGM information, which clearly shows that there are 6 vacant positions. And at this time, 4 nominations which we received at SAISIA. And there are, of course, 6 positions that are continuing based on the overlapping terms that. So our goal in the past was to have full member agencies who are able to nominate folks for the board of directors, do an alternation of every year so that we'd have 2-year positions overlapping. This gives continuity to our board of directors and allows us to ensure that initiatives that the board has worked on are carried on in subsequent years. So today we're looking at for 6 vacant positions. I'll just note for you as well before we discuss how this works that a couple of things about the bylaws and the election process. First of all, our AGM is responsible for electing the director positions, but not actually the executive positions. Those executive positions are selected by the new board in the board meeting that immediately follows our AGM. So today we'll be selecting people for the board positions, but not for president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. I'll also note the additional office of past president exists. That's my current position, which is up to perhaps not exist anymore. We'll see how that board meeting goes afterwards. And the past president position is not an elected position on our board of directors. It goes to the previous president, and that president is a voting member of the board of directors, but is ex officio on the executive bylaws. Today, I'm responsible for taking you through the election process simply because of the fact that our previous president is up for election and is on the ballot. So you'll note Getachu's name is on there. So if you could have a look at your ballot, you'll notice that there are 4 names on there. Stephanie Palmer from Moose Jaw Multicultural Council, Sunbo Toby Lade, I believe. Forgive me if the pronunciation is not correct, representing Catholic Family Services in Regina, Getachew from Regina Open Door Society, and Abdur from Saskatchewan Intercultural Association. Before I ask the nominees to speak, are there any questions about the process or the ballot for today's election? Okay. Is a no, so I will proceed to allow each one of the nominees to introduce themselves briefly. Please give us not only your brief introduction, but also your job title and which full member agency you are representing. And I'll start with the order that the candidates appear on the ballot. So Stephanie, if you could go first, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Palmer. I'm the Executive Director of the Moose Jaw Multicultural Council, so member agency MGMC. I have served on the SAISIA board previous, just took the last 2 years off, but have served on the board in various capacities over the years, as well as on the executive team. So I'm excited to be back and get back in the loop. I feel like I'm lost without SAISIA, to be honest.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephanie. Next, Sunbo, could you please give us your introduction?
Morning, everyone. My name is Sombato Bilade, and I work with member agency Catholic Family Service Regina. I'm the program manager for employment and settlement services. I've been with CFS for 4 years, and I've been working with the newcomers since I joined CFS. Anything else?
Excellent. And thank you very much. Next, Getachew, please.
Hi, my name is Getachew Woldeyesus. I am with the Regina Open Door Society. I am the manager of Settlement, Family and Community Services Department. I have been with SAISIA for a very long time, and I served in the executive now. Until now, I have served SAISIA as a president, and also I served in the capacity of vice president in the past and member at large as well. I also represent the sector in the National Settlement Council table, and I'd like to continue the work that I'm really passionate about SAISIA and the work it does for its member agencies, and in any capacity, I like to serve SAISIA to continue to do the great work that we are doing, and that's why I'm seeking the nomination for a board seat, and thank you.
Thank you, Getachew. Next, Abdur, could you please give us your introduction?
Thank you, Anna. This is the second time you've put me in the spotlight. So we can, well, thank you once again, for hosting us and, taking care of this whole election process. My name is Abdurrahman Ahmed. I'm the HR and Culture Manager here at the Saskatchewan Intercultural Association. With SAISIA, I've been the board member and part of the executive team for the last 2 years, and I was the vice president. And I look forward to it. It's been a very interesting, dynamic experience, a very learning experience. I'm really humble, and I really appreciate all the support from the board members and their guidance. And I look forward to this, supporting SAISIA, because I really believe the work we are trying to do through this organization is really important for all the sector and the province. And I would love to serve it in any other way if possible also. So, but thank you once again for this opportunity.
Excellent, thank you very much. So I'd just like to point out that in your AGM package, you've also received some information that includes biographies of the board members up for election. So that will give you some other information about the candidates' background. Now, since we have a number of vacant positions and only 4 nominations, which doesn't exceed the number of vacant positions, that puts us in a position to make a vote by acclamation for these board candidates. So I'll start by making a motion that the slate of candidates as nominated be elected by acclamation. If we can have a seconder for that motion, that would be great.
I second that motion. Danilo with UCC Saskatchewan.
Thank you very much, Danilo. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. The motion to accept those candidates by acclamation is considered carried. And that concludes our election of the board of directors. Thank you very much. And it concludes my role in the AGM. So I'll turn it back over to, I believe I'll turn it back over to our president. Thank you. Sorry, Getachew, we still can't hear you.
Sorry, unless there is any questions, I like if there is a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn the AGM? Like, because
that was fast.
Yeah, because there is nothing. Yeah.
I move that motion, Ali. From
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Ali. Is there a seconder?
I
It's
don't think
Pam.
we need.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Belma second the motion. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please stay safe, and I hope to see you in the coming working with us and supporting SAISIA. So the meeting adjourned, and we will continue with the board meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.